The condition is really crazy condition.
I mean, that shouldn't give away the whole secret to professional windsurfing.
Matteo Iachino giving Antoine Albo a run for his money. Here we go. What a finish.
The guy is kind of talking bullshit.
The team's just got to work a little harder.
Welcome to the Windsurfing Podcast, back again for episode 51. And this week we have the original new school freestyler. He was one that led the charge from the young guns taking over the old guards. We talk about his first win at the King of the Lake and how big that was. We obviously talk about growing up in Margarita. Yeah, a little bit of a clue there. We talk about starting competitions. We talk about his first ever big contract. We also talk about what it was like to lose that contract. We talk about his new sponsors. We talk about where he is in life right now. He's a bit of a soul surfer. Who is it? Well, it is, of course, Diony Guadagnino.
Diony, ¿qué pasa, man?
Yo, what's up? Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
The mic check already, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, your name, that's your name. Mic check.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured. Hey, I didn't know until today. You're actually half American, half RG. That true? Did I get that right? It said somewhere, you were born in LA.
Yeah.
Mom's American, dad's Argentinian. Moved around as a kid, Caribbean. I didn't know all that.
Yeah, man. I got kind of a crazy mix. Yeah, a lot of people know it. It's in my bio and on the page. But yeah, so basically I was born in LA in Sherman Oaks, but I was still in diapers when my parents decided to move. My dad was a sailor. He worked he had this little company in Marina del Rey. So he cleaned basically Michael Jackson yacht, and like he saw Michael Jackson pretty much every now and then. And also he was a karate. He was pretty high. I'm not sure what belt, but he was high up there, and he used to fight with Chuck Norris as well. So my dad would hang out with the Hollywood crew, but then he did that. He decided that wasn't the life for us. So he just he bet on a small Caribbean island called Beckway, St. Vincent and Grenadines, which a friend told him about that and that he trusted, and he just did that big move. He sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. He sent the boat, I think, to Miami on a container, a trailer. And he sailed to the Caribbean, and we moved there. He bought like a small hotel on the beach. So that's how we grew up in the Caribbean. When I was 7 months, we moved.
Yeah. And then obviously this people know that then later you grew up in Eliake. Tell me one thing, because we know Eliake from all the stories from you guys, a lot of pros coming from, just a small fishing village and a pretty like substantial windsurfing destination, and now kind of in trouble, whatever. But how was it early 90s when you started windsurfing there? Was it already kind of big, or?
Yeah, it was pretty much big. There was a lot of French Canadians here. Actually, the French Canadian discovered it, and it was big, but it was still like underscored place, and it wasn't very famous yet because of certain things and flights and that. But then when it suddenly it just went boom, like in 95 when we started doing the Margarita Wildwinds, that's when Finians started coming, and Patrice Belbioc, Antoine Albo, and they felt the vibe of the island and the village here, the fisherman village and people and the wind. They definitely felt the wind. The wind was like, when they came, always every year, it was like 35 knots, 40 knots, just like fully stacked on their small slalom gear. So the Margarita Wildwinds really helped for the place to get renowned worldwide. And suddenly, yeah, after that, it was like 12 windsurf centers here.
Yeah. So it was kind of, so you feel like it was natural that somebody like from your generation, you were obviously the first, right? That you felt that it was just a matter of time if, you know, like good pro windsurfers will start coming out of there.
100%, because our backyard, we live on the sand. Basically, our house was on the sand, built on the sand. And, you know, having a few locals like Alexi Karache, when I first got here, he was doing the sickest stall fours, like killer loops back, how they call it back then. And he was a local guy. So when I first got here, he was just sailing insane with the sickest style. He had like a low rider stance with super long harness lines, man, and just the sickest boards and just everything. The whole thing like kind of really like got my attention. Actually, it happened, my check, when we flew from Beckwith to here. Unfortunately, my parents got separated. And so that's why we decided to move to Margarita, because my mom met, which right now is her ex. He's a French-Canadian guy that used to windsurf. And they met, and suddenly they got together and got married, and we moved to Margarita. We were either going to go to Dominican Republic, but somehow he's been going there before, and we moved to Margarita. So it was just destiny, you know, everything kind of just set in place, and that's just destiny. And so Colette and I really got into wind. But I remember the plane ride. It was a small plane because it's only an hour away, flight from Beckwith. And there were direct flights basically back then. And I remember we were going over El Yaque, over the beach, the bay, and I would see a bunch of windsurfs there. And my dad used to, like, in Beckwith Island, he had a beach club and a hotel. He used to take us to this small island, Pitinivis in front, drag me and Colette. And but we never windsurfed that equipment because it was all wood. It was the windsurfer. Is that what it's named?
Yeah.
The wooden boom, the huge board. And so, yeah, it was impossible to lift that stuff up when I was like 6 years old, 7 years old. So we moved to Margarita when I was 8. So I fell in love just by seeing on the plane ride before landing. I saw a bunch of windsurfs, man. And that just, we were so close to them. It was just like, I don't know, man, if I did that in my past life, but it just suddenly attracted me like a magnet immediately. And I think the second day we arrived directly on the windsurf, man. It took me 1 year to learn how to forward loop after that moment. I remember.
Yeah. But I heard you were doing forwards before you were jibing and tacking. That true?
I couldn't jibe at all, and my tacks were horrible. So, like, I wanted to go back to the beach to then turn around again, then hit a wave to do a forward. So I would just jump off and jump on again. You know, just leave the sail ready to, you know, to water start quickly. I didn't know how to water start. Yeah, but that's true. I learned how to forward and jibe.
I think it's maybe easier, no, to do a forward than a good jibe and a good tack.
100%. Jibe are bored, man. And when we're kids, that's the first thing we want to do. We want to do the adrenaline stuff that would just that's what get us really hooked, you know. I always tell people that wanna, like, people here on the beach these days, they're learning how to jibe and stuff, and I tell them, wait till you pass that progress, because they're elder people, but you know they're a bit scared now to try a forward before attack or a jibe. But I tell them, once you get past jibing and attacking, and you start jumping, that's when it really starts. You know, the feeling of a windsurfer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of a big problem, no, of the sport, that you get, like, by the time you get to that, a lot of people just quit or get stopped at that, you know, like jibing and whatever. Because, yeah, but for sure, there's something to say there for sure.
Yeah, it's just not for everybody. You know, there's so many options. So if you really want it badly, you can get it. And yeah, fortunately, you got to be on a place where you can actually sail almost every day too. So that level gets high really quickly. So yeah.
And from there, one thing that also pops into my mind that I also remember when you're like I think a few years, 10 years older or something. But when I was a kid already, there were still no kids gear. So like all the boom was too high. Everything, the sales, a 3.7 was, I don't know, 5 kilo because it was all reinforced and really strong and whatever, so there was no actual kids gear, something that the kids probably don't realize today, that we had to go through. I remember like renting a Neil Pryde core, and having the boom all the way down. It was still like way over my head, so that was pretty tricky for sure. But what I wanted to ask you is, from that moment you're learning to forward and whatever, it's just, it's just a couple of years and a few years and you like you realize you're maybe good enough to compete. How does that come about? Because you're not from France. It's not like, natural that you're a good windsurfer and you just gonna start competing or whatever, you're kind of the first out of you and your sister, out of Eliake. So how did that come about?
Yeah, I would say you're right, man. We kind of broke the ice for a newer generation. Obviously there are generations before, like Jason Stone, or probably actually Jason Stone and Levi started about the same. They're in the gorge in Hawaii, so they started maybe up to a couple years earlier than us, and then before that it was probably like Josh Stone. But yeah, after Josh Stone, I think, and like Levi, in between that, it's hard, because we followed them when we were really kids, and after that, I think, right after Levi and Jason Stone, and then also Tonki and Tati. I remember they were going to the Gorge from Bonaire. There were direct flights to the U.S. and they were going to there a lot. A lot of people really helped them. But here, we started off because we just passionate. We were just passionate. All we wanted to be on the water. I would like try to skip school to be on the water and not even do my homework. I was a mischief man. I remember, like, I was a little prick on the beach, just trying to show off and doing fours on the sand dry and getting everyone's attention. Like, I remember Vela Club, Tom and Kathy, they were doing like clinics with a bunch of clients and they were always recording. So I would like jump in the film on the beach and just screw the whole thing up for them, just to get attention, to then see the videos afterwards when they're like showing the clients. I was like that all day.
Fucking Diony again.
That was, man. I was just too electric. I had too much energy, and every time I walk up the beach through the clubs to say hello to everybody, because I was always friendly, and this and that, and I like to talk some shit and check out the magazines, see which club, like if the charter flight from England came to Club Vast, for example, I would want to see like the newest magazine they brought by plane, because it was the only way. There's no internet, and like when there was like test year, like Surf Magazine, they would do test year, and Planche Mag. It was big. This was like the most important place to test for Surf Magazine. So they would put this huge, how do you call it? Like a tarima. We call it just like a structure in the water, like 5 to 8 meters high. And
like a tower to shoot.
They set up a tower like they do in the concerts. So they would like make videos from up there and stuff. And I was always there, man. They were trying the gear, and it was just a fun moment. You know how it is. And basically, it all just came together, bro, naturally, with passion and certain people on the beach. There was a lot of foreign people working all those windsurf clubs that were very friendly. So we would even learn like different languages. I worked in Happy Surf. I started working when I was 12. Not a lot of people knew that. So I would, after school or vacation or weekends, I would work in this club from 9 till like 5 o'clock. And I would have 1 hour to windsurf. And on Saturdays, we would do the show. Like Bart de Swart, which he used to be, I think, starboard manager for paddleboarding, or still is. I'm not sure. They really helped us when we were kids. They made pretty much all their money here in Eliake when it was very big. So the whole ambience, you know, like there's Dutchies, there's from Belgian guys. I will learn all the bad words, obviously, like Buckalil, Heikel, all those bad words. And it was just super fun. But eventually I knew it was going to be the moment. And sorry, I worked at my mom's ice cream parlor. She had this nice ice cream parlor right across the beach. And it was called Mambo. And I would work at night. So I'd have 2 shifts at time. And I was making $400 on the beach, plus tips and all that. And with her, I was making nothing really, but I was eating all the ice creams. And Ricardo would come crying, almost like, you want to give me some ice cream? So I would like give him some ice cream for free, chill, and all those guys, you know. And then I would be in trouble because the weight doesn't match. There's So anyway, what I was gonna say, bro, I just remember that I was gonna be the best windsurfer, or at least try to be, or at least have the most fun and accomplish my dreams. Like my room was full of posters of all our legends till now, like Leon Belanger, even Bjorn, Robbie Nash. You know, have that Jaws picture of Robbie Nash, the one in lanes, like laying down, that is beautiful. And I was just so passionate. And when I was working in my mom's ice cream shop at night at 7 o'clock, I was watching videos. We had like a pretty big TV. It was only Hokipa videos I would put on, you know, like Hokipa Chronicles and Spring Loaded, all those videos from Hawaii and the Gorge. And that's what really pumped me up. Those videos really, like, I still watch them today. I have a VHS player, and I have some old videos I still playing to like still in that, keep that mind zone of motivation. And so I would watch these videos before the clients start, you know, they take a shower and eat dinner, and then they would come and eat ice cream. And they would come because I was there too, you know, because I was like the show on the beach. I was a little prick, and they like kind of loved being around me. So there was a good attraction for my mom's ice cream shop, plus the Hokipa videos. And I was just eating ice cream always and watching the videos. And I would like serve the people like when I wanted to, man. They didn't care. They were just down with me, you know. I just didn't give a fuck, man. It was a good time. It was so much fun.
Sounds really cool, man. Sounds really, really cool. So then, yeah, you say you making a little bit of cash, you know, putting it away, and then you managed to go to Maui, right? Before was that always like the goal? You say like all these Hokipa videos, and by the way, good videos until today, Hokipa Chronicles and stuff. Still like good music, good writing, you know, dope stuff. But yeah, so you put away a little bit of cash, and was it obvious like, okay, I want to be a pro, I need to go through Hawaii, you know? Was that the plan always?
100%. As you know, and I know, and everyone knows, Hokipa and Maui and Oahu was more famous back then, but it was the epicenter of windsurfing and surfing. And if you wanted to become at least in the spotlight and get a sponsor, that was the place to be. And we would have to go there no matter what. So I did have the big advantage to be half U.S. citizen and have a U.S. passport. Obviously, it helps to travel, and Venezuelan as well. No, Venezuelan as well, not really. Maybe back then, not now though. But having a U.S. passport was really good. So it was easy for me to go to Maui. And so, yeah, I did save up enough money, bro. My parents always taught us that you got to work hard and value the things, what you buy. So like even I bought a windsurf sail here. I bought my surfboard because I started surfing also since I was 8 years old. I got here, I started surfing on the other side of the island, like the Udo from Club Mistral. I also worked in Club Mistral here. And we would go like sometimes 5 a.m, then arrive at 9 o'clock to work. And there were sick waves once in a while here. Like really, when there's a swell, the wave is really, man, nothing to envy Hokipa. I think actually better than Hokipa because Hokipa to surf, you know, it's like just kind of closing out all the time, man. So much people. It's like, But here we got some nice feeling waves, clean. And but I worked hard for what I wanted. And my parents, even my mom owned Hotel California. It was still a pretty big hotel here in Aliaque. And, you know, they probably had some money to buy my tickets and to Maui and all that. But it kind of came naturally, not even for me to ask or Colette to ask her for money to pay my trip. It came naturally that everything came naturally, bro. We were so different, or nowadays we're so different than other kids that probably would ask their parents just to pay my trip and, you know, go the easy way. We went the harder way. And I think that pays off after a while because you really appreciate. And only we know how much we worked and sweated and suffered at times to, you know, to get where we were. And I think with that being on the harder road, you sometimes last longer and what you're doing because you will not give up because you work so hard for it. You know what I mean? You kind of understand the psychology there.
I know what you mean, man. I'm from freaking Poland, you know. So even if we weren't broke or whatever, it's like, you know, even if you're rich in Poland, even if you were filthy rich in Poland when I was growing up at, you know, for European standards or whatever, it was nothing, you know. So you know what I mean? So I totally understand what you're saying for sure. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. And so yeah, I saved up just enough money, my check, to get to Maui. And my sister went a year and a half before me. She got sponsored by Neil Pryde, kind of South America, and the distributor here really helped her a lot. And Victor Martins helped her a lot back then. And she got to Maui, went to Puerto Rico to work for Vela Una for Jaime Torres, which was a big up slalom sailor. And then went to Maui. There was the opportunity to do the U.S. National Slalom in the summer in Maui. So she ended up going. She almost won, but had a crash at the last pin and fighting with Mariela de Vesa, I think it was. She was pretty good. I don't know if you ever heard of those names, but there was some good slalom girls back then, man, and beautiful ones too. So Colette ended up staying in Maui, got a job, and just everything flowed for us, man. You know, everything flowed. We had the correct mindset. We knew exactly what we wanted. So yeah, I saved up enough money here. I don't remember if it was like 2,000. I think it was $2,200. I remember every time I got paid, I put in this safe deposit in my mom's apartment because when my stepfather and my mom split up, she moved to another place in Aliaque, and so I would save the money, you know, so safe and so like thuggish kind of style that no one would ever find the money, you know, in a way. If it wasn't the safe, I would hide it somewhere in the house that no one would ever find it, because that was my future right there and my dream. So I didn't want to wait another 2 years if, you know, something happened to the money. So yeah, I got to Maui, bro, and I bought a car from Tony Garcia. Oh man, Nissan Sentra, old car, bro, a Maui Cruiser for $400. Tony Garcia sold it to me, and we became pretty good friends. He's a bit older than me, like Colette said, but he helped me out with that. And then yeah, it all started, bro. I drove 1 year without a license, and then when a cop would pull me over once, I would just tell him, "Shoot, I forgot my wallet in the house," and this. I don't know, maybe I did look a little underage, or maybe I didn't, whatever. But, you know, Maui is a place for mischief, you know. The police would understand. They're pretty mellow island style, so they didn't harass me or give any problems. So that's when it all happened, bro. I got to Maui, started washing dishes pretty much right away. I didn't want to work, but I had to because I just wanted to sail Hukipa. And I worked at Mama's Fish House. Kai Lenny's father was the manager. Martin Lenny, I remember. He was the manager there, so he treated me really good, bro. And the funny thing was that I felt so Venezuelan and Margariteño that I did have a U.S. passport, but I thought when I was washing dishes, I was getting paid like $5 to $6 an hour. And I thought I was working as illegal. So I was always like scared, like, you know, something would happen. I thought in my mind, look how stupid. I have a U.S. passport, but I was so young that I'm so Venezuelan, you know, and I thought I was illegal in Hawaii somehow or the other. So it was pretty funny, man, because all I want to do is windsurf, man. Nothing else was on my mind. So, you know.
That's pretty classic, man. That's pretty classic. So yeah, so you go there for windsurfing, you go there for Hokipa, but there is this little bit of freestyle movement sort of coming up. How do you remember it? I mean, it was, you know, the Vulcan or the, you know, the Willy Skipper. I don't even know. Like, I wasn't even around, you know, so it's hard. So paint me a picture, you know, how, you know, you're sailing probably Hokipa every day, but there's this freestyle thing starting, right?
Yeah, I skipped a few things, sorry, before I went to Maui, because there's so much stuff happening back then. But yeah, here I started obviously freestyling because it was pretty much flat water, choppy, you know, we didn't have wave sailing conditions here. Even though back then it was very shallow, we had like a seaweed reef with sea urchins all across the bay, like about maybe 100 meters out. So the waves, when we would have a good swell on the other side of the island, like north swell or northeast or even west, it would wrap around either side of the island, and it would be like 1 meter to 1.5 meters here sometimes, breaking waves. It's just lines. So you could wave ride, you can jump. So that's how we learn like double forwards here and back loops and push loops. So yeah, we would freestyle, and obviously like 98, by the time of 98, I actually went from 97 to 98. I went to Colorado to Telluride because some friends of my mother offered me to go like an exchange program. They had some kids, so they're on vacation, and they invited me. And that year of 98, bro, there was a big South American championship here. Then the Margarita Wildlands was right after. And me and Kauli's friend, Kauli would used to come for the end of the 90s to do slalom races with all the Brazilians, all the Argentinians. So there was a friend of Kauli called Jogu that he's doing filming and stuff right now. He actually, I think, does a few things with Kauli and Normai maybe. But me and Jogu accidentally crashed into each other with slalom gear. I remember I was using a kinetic slalom board, which was very pointy. So I was going port tack, he was coming starboard tack. And this was like 1 day or two before the regatta. It was pretty big, bro. Like those races, the feeling back then was like, if you would put your mindset right now, it was more important, bigger, that vibe and energy than the PWA event, for example. Back then, it was like a lot of energy, you know what I mean? It was just crazy. And then it was the wild wind, so then all the pros would come, like, you know, like the pros I mentioned, Finian, Patrice, Bjorn didn't come, Robbie Nash almost came, but so yeah, man, we crashed, and we were zigzagging because we were going really fast, and we were zigzagging. You know how that happens sometimes? You don't know which way one person is going to go. So obviously he's coming starboard tack. He has the right of way to go upwind. So I was going downwind, and then he suddenly changed course and went straight downwind as well. And I thought he was going to switch because I was going even deeper downwind. So we would gain more speed, and eventually we just crashed, and it all exploded, bro. His board went through my leg, man. Like, it was like 100 stitches. Right by my femur, by my knee. Actually, right here, right here, this area right here. The board went through my leg and almost came out the other side. And that put me out of windsurfing for like almost 2 years, a year and a half. So yeah, I decided right in that moment, my mom's friends offered me to go to Colorado. And that was like, it was going to be torture to be here in a cast and like 8 months in the cast and not be able to do anything, go to school, and it was going to be torture for me. So I decided just to go to Colorado, learn another experience, and better my English a bit because it was a little still rusty. You know, even the because in Bequia Island, we learned the basics in first, second grade. I was still young there in third grade and stuff. But so yeah, I went to Colorado, bro. To tell you right, it's like one of the, look it up. It's one of the best places to snowboard in the world. Honestly, it's so high up, 4,800 meters, I think. So I spent a year and a half almost there. Learned how to snowboard, saw the snow for the first time. So it was a different experience. Obviously, I cried and everything, man. Like every night, missing the family. I was 15 and missing windsurfing and all my friends. But I chose that. I chose to go myself. So yeah, man. My childhood was pretty different than other childhoods. So what we were speaking about, man, about freestyle. I'm so sorry, man, but it's cool to tell you all
It's good, man.
this.
It's such a good story, so diverse and so much stuff that I think nobody knew or I didn't even know. And I'm a fucking psycho fan of the sport, so.
I remember this family also liked windsurfing a bit. I think that's how my parents kind of were friends. He was like this family. He was a native Indian. So a native Indian man. So, so much respect for all those, for all native cultures around the world. So we lived in the mountains and I think he would windsurf a little bit. And he said, let's go to Maui one day. He said, let's go on vacation. So we almost went to Maui. So I was like dreaming of Maui here, saving up money little by little. And suddenly that happened, the crash, and I went to Colorado. So they were like thinking of going to Maui. So I was like in school in Telluride, I was like printing Robbie Nash's. I was like in a library, bro. I was bankrupting that library by printing all these pictures of Robbie Nash to put it in my room and post it and I made a book of all. So the internet was just starting back then. So I would print all these pictures of all my heroes, man, because I didn't have any magazines really or whatever. So just to stay motivated, I would probably jerk off almost watching windsurf at night. You know what I mean? Nah, man. But serious. So we didn't end up going to Maui, bro, and I went back to they had a restaurant called Sophia's, a Mexican restaurant. So I worked there, bussing tables, also to save a bit of money. And so I went eventually back to Margarita in 98. After that year and a half, it was difficult for me to be away from home for so long. But, anyway, I snowboarded and everything and my foot was better. So I even tried backflips and stuff and 360s. I got pretty good at the half pipe and all this. So, you know how it is. We like all those tricks and I was doing tricks on the windsurf. So when I got back, I was totally focused on just really making money quick and sail as much as possible. So I got really good, man. I was doing Vulcans and already doing Spocks. I remember I learned the Vulcan when I saw Sean Ordonez come out with a Big Mac tack in the magazine, and that's how I would learn it, by looking at the sequences. And I would just pull it off like maybe a week later or 5 days later. I would just pull the move off, no problem. So I got all the moves down. And even the spot by the time I left Maui. And yeah, man, that's when basically, like what I told you, I was there for a while. And right away, pretty much, Dave Ezzy sponsored me. He gave me an opportunity. I worked at his loft cleaning, and he gave me this opportunity to learn how to even repair the sails. So he would give me a quiver of sails, and he treated me really well, People have this image of Dave Ezzy because he's just different and mellow. And yeah, when he's on the water, he's aggro. He probably has his reason, for certain howlies or whatever that come and don't respect. You know what I mean? He has this. Everyone knows the Dave Ezzy story, but it ain't like that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go there and you're like, yeah, you're probably, in the dream of wave sailing. But all we know is that you went to Maui and then all of a sudden you won the King of the Lake. So something must have happened in the middle of it, that sparked you, or that somebody told you like, okay, you're going to do freestyle now, or you know what I mean? Like how did that thing how did it transpire,
How did it happen? Well, it's pretty simple, you know. Being surrounded by all of these legends in Maui, and even Robert Territo gave me work at his house to clean his garden and paint it exceptionally well. That's a story I forgot to tell you. These are all like little puzzles that help build my motivation to get where I am today. So like Robert Territo and Marcos Perez would come to Margarita as well for some photo shoots. They would go to Coche Island, since we pretty much live in paradise here. So they would come here, and Robert, for example, this is what actually helped me stay in my mind. Robert is a very serious person, and everyone respects him very much. And he's just absolutely crazy, insane. I mean, he was one of the outstanding of our sport, you know, together with Josh Stone, maybe, and Brian Talma, like Robert, you know. So he would come here and he said, Diony, I would sail him every day. And he said, Diony, I wait for you on Maui very soon. And he knew my plan. I told him I was like 9 years old, bro. I'll send you a picture after, like me and Colette with him, like hugging each other, you know, at a party, at a samba party. My mom would make the sickest parties, man. She would make like samba night at our hotel. And then all these when like pros were here. And then these girls, man, these sexy girls, we would contract with G-strings, man. All the like clients from all the windsurf school would come for samba night. They would never miss it. Like Italian night, boring, it's only pasta. But samba night, we'd bring girls with G-strings, and these girls will grab the guys, even though they had their couple, their wife or girlfriend, whatever. They girls, Venezuelan girls don't care. They just have fun. So they grab the guys, and they start dancing, and then you should see the faces of the girlfriends or the wives. And they put him on the floor. They put you on the floor. So say they put you on the floor, bro. And they whine right here, bro, in your face, man. They were just whining, man. Oh, my God. I think that screwed up a bunch of relationships here, man, after. So Robert would come at a party, and that's the photo we had that night at Samba, man. And then we would throw the people in the pool. We had a pool as well. It was just wild, man. Just who cares if people had no cell phones back then. Maybe the big Nokia this big in the pocket. But so Robert, bro, I got to Maui and I saw Robert and I told him, hey man, I'm here. I sent an email and he gave me a job and he paid me really well. So he would always like give me these important pointers of life and stuff, like motivation, stuff that not much people would tell you, you know. And he would help me with my mind and my goals to accomplish them. And then he would always tell me how to invest my money, no matter how small it is. He would tell me not to invest in material. And anyway, I was never a materialistic person. I was an Indian on the beach and didn't care about material, you know what I mean? My parents in Beckway, I remember, would buy me Lacoste clothes, and I would, from the hotel they had over there, to the beach, I would leave the clothes in the garden or just throw them away and jump in naked or in my underpants. So I hate even having clothes on, man. Yeah, so yeah, man. The only materialistic stuff that right now I'm addicted to is windsurf equipment and surf equipment. That's pretty much it. So yeah, bro, that's pretty much the story of the beginning, man. And Dave Ezzy and Maui, those days when I was with Robert working, and he'd sponsor me and give me pointers and help me out, Dave Ezzy. So he gave me a quiver, and it actually was a bit painful because it was hard. Because also Sailboards Maui, Dave Mel sponsored me a board thanks to Dave Ezzy that hooked me up with him. Very, very nice guy, Dave Mel. Very respected. And if you look at old magazines, you will see like Sierra Emery, Francisco Goya. Who else, man? I think Brian Tama as well. They all went through Sailboards Maui, custom boards. You see the Jaws picture. And so Dave Mel, gave me a special board for me. That was my first ever custom board. Imagine coming from a little kid, coming from Margarita, doing his dreams, and you have Dave Mel make your first board. He tells you to paint it. I painted a sun on it myself and sprayed it. And it was just all this great experiences, bro. But then it kind of came to an end, all that like local sponsorship thing, because Colette actually got sponsored by Neil Pryde and JP. That's when Martin Brander and Neil Pryde, Neil was the owner, and he was actually around Maui. And so he contracted Colette. Colette, I think, won her first PWA in Austria, Freestyle World Cup. And then she got me on board of JP Neil Pryde. That was pretty easy. I had great level and energy. And I went to Camp 1 one day. Colette told me, listen, Martin Brander's here and everyone's here. Just come, do your thing. So I went always on my Ezzy equipment, my wakeboard. I did all the moves, man. The guy was just like, whoa. He's like, come here. I knew it was gonna happen like that. He's come here. And he said, you want this, this, and that, and I'll send you to King of the Lake and this and that in Europe. And I was like, whoa, it's hard to not accept an offer like that, with a small salary, okay salary, but I didn't prove anything yet. So
yeah,
it was just.
How was Martin? How was Martin? Because for you, like an electric kid from Venezuela, you're like two polar opposites. The guy's measured, really organized, and whatever. How was that first meeting?
I kind of knew how to manage him. Remember, I worked with people here from Germany in the clubs, and I knew how they all were similar. Obviously, not as serious as him, and always smoking and stressing and stuff, man. Yeah, that was Martin Brander, bro. But it worked out good. He was always serious and fair and just a businessman, just doing his job very seriously and all numbers. And so, yeah, I took that opportunity, bro. And it was very sad. It was very difficult for me to explain and to notify Dave Ezzy and Dave Mel that I was going to swap to Neil Pryde and JP. And they knew that I was going to come. He actually, when I sat down in his office with Dave Ezzy, and he told me, I knew he was going to come because, he only wished the best for me. And, I always stand up straight with balls and always show my face. I never I'm not a coward. I tell people straight up, it's always the best way, and be honest. And they will always support you no matter what. It's just the best way, instead of being the other way, and it ends up with bad feelings and just bad energy. So, yeah, my parents always...
As you say, probably for you was a big deal. And for them, as you say, they saw it coming, so you probably stressed way more than you should have, at that moment, looking back, no? But anyway, you think Martin was hoping that he's going to send you to the King of the Lake and you're going to win? You think he knew?
Maybe. Josh Stone was world champion back then already with a couple titles or so. And there was only Robbie Seeger, and of course it was a different kind of level, but still it was the toughest level back then. Josh Stone was the man in freestyle and the showman as well. So, you got two killer points right there. It's hard to beat Josh Stone, man. You got to up his show, which was almost impossible to up his show and his energy and his style and his level on the water. So Martin Brander, yeah, and we were on the same team. So imagine that with Josh Stone. Josh Stone was always a person that, he was always, you couldn't describe a better-minded person, as in a healthy mind, as in he only wishes the best for you. He just motivates the people and expends his energy to others, just like Brian Thelma does. So it was always he never felt a threat, I would say, even if, whatever. But it was always good energy, man. It was always good vibes, and he didn't care none of that. So he was actually very happy to help us and stuff. But yeah, Martin, I don't know if he thought I was going to win that event. Maybe obviously he grabbed me because he did think there was a potential either there in that event or some other event I would eventually maybe make it, or eventually maybe not. In contest mode is so different when you're on pressure and all that. And that was the cool thing about that event that they sent me to. So basically, I told Dave Ezzy, they understood, and that was just the hardest part of me because I felt bad, after all the help in such short time. It was not even a year yet with them. So everything happened really quick. So I did accept it, and they understood. And so I flew to Margarita because I was dying to see my mother was here, and she was going through divorce and all those problems, unfortunately, with the ex-Canadian guy. And so I came here for like 2-3 weeks. And here's when I invented the Diablo, which is the move that kind of like exploded back then. It was just, I think Josh Stone invented the Spock, 100%. And so I invented the Diablo here. And there was no social media, so no one would knew, or I wasn't even if it did exist, I wouldn't show it before arriving at King of the Lake. So that was a surprise move. I arrived at King of the Lake, and so yeah, I arrived at King of the Lake with no pressure at all, and because I had nothing to lose since I didn't do anything before that, and I remember just chucking down a bunch of Red Bull, man, because it tastes like gummy bears. I didn't know it was, dangerous and bad for you if you drink too much of it. You know what I mean? That's the honest truth. So I just chucked a bunch of Red Bull down. When I got there, it was all Red Bull everywhere. And then suddenly just slowly passed my heats, just really under pressure, super mellow, bro, super humble. Nothing like, I just wanted to show my talent, and that was the opportunity. That was pretty much, I think, the one and only shot I had. I really think.
Yeah. So you think that if you didn't do good in that event, it would be kind of over for you? I don't know.
Yeah, because like, you would lose or do bad, and then I would probably get frustrated, because since it was my first real World Cup event, and then I'm a person that I can't control my mind is in contest so much, and that's what actually kind of was my problem afterwards. It's all a mind game, bro, and obviously now that we're older, we can control it way more, and we grow up and we have all these experiences, so we can actually have more control about it and what to think of and certain things. So that was my shot, and fortunately it all came through.
Yeah.
True, man.
So how did that feel? Like, how did that, because it must have been a bit of a surprise. I mean, fuck, you do your first World Cup and you win straight away. I mean, that's pretty unheard of, no? I mean, now if you think about it, imagine a kid coming to now, I don't know, like Fuerte or whatever, and wins the freestyle, doesn't really happen. I mean, different times, of course, but
even still now, it's difficult. 100% agree with you. It is difficult still now. And yeah, man, look, it was just meant to be kind of thing, it's just meant to be. When you put your efforts together with other stuff, it all blends in. And yeah, I just remember arriving that final with Josh Stone, with the legend Josh Stone. And I just couldn't believe it, man. That moment was all I wanted. I didn't care winning, but I said, shit, I got to go as extra bit, to just explode everything. And then the whole path would set easier for me, if I did win it. So I just went to have fun, bro, but I was high on Red Bull, man. I drunk too many. That I'm glad it didn't screw up my moves. Like, I didn't fall, but everything was explosive. And I would do like in the finals, the reason why I won, everything, all our moves were the same pretty much. And we both did not fall in anything. And my last moves, what I did after my routine of doing the basic moves with Josh. So I said, now I got to pull off. I did a couple, but I didn't never do the Diablo in any other heats before. I would do the Waimaru, which Webb Pedrick would do once in a while, but I'm not sure if Webb Pedrick was there, bro. I remember Remco the Weird was there. I think he would also pull some Waimaru because he has a path that he came to Margarita as well. And he became so good because he lived here also quite a bit. So Margarita does a lot of good to windsurf.
Yeah. So what kind of moves we talking about? Still some like old school moves as well, like I don't know, cowboys and freaking 360s, carving and whatever, or all already like Willy skippers, Volcans?
No carving 360s, really, not at all. There were people who would do them, they're cool and stuff, but if you want to do really good, you'd have to step it up more than carving 360. So it was like Spock lollipops, Spock 540s, then it would be like just normal Spock 540s, normal Spock 540s. Then what else? Just for forward loops, I would do Weimarus once in a while. I was the only one doing Weimarus, so that depending on my heat, I would use it or not. Depending of the person, I would use that extra rifle. And so when it came down to the final, bro, I pulled some nice Weimarus, and like I think it was like the last minute I did a Diablo. It wasn't the cleanest one, but it was pretty decent. It was enough. And that's what made me, win the final against Josh Stone, was those two moves, Weimarus, the Diablo, plus all the other moves. I think the win was really light as well. I was on 6-0, man. I think it was my blue 6-0. And I would actually, for the crowd, Josh Stone would always step it up for the crowd. He'd do like a Willy skip or whatever. And he would go like, ah, and then the crowd would go, wow. Man, he was the only person that would like autograph topless girls. They would like raise their boobs, basically, man, and autograph or on their butt. That guy, man, was so connected with the crowd. So he would make the crowd scream. And man, I pulled off those moves, and I eventually won the event, which was pretty sick. It was my time. He won so many events, but I think he never won that event. I think King of the Lake, that was one that he always had a rock in his shoe that he couldn't win some reason or the other, bro. And he was like, fuck, I would always pull that title away from him. I'm almost certain that he never
Yeah. So obviously at that time, then that whole narrative changes. You're like the star now. You're the freaking, new kid on the block, new superstar and whatever, bunch of cash, bunch of, gear, bunch of, stuff to travel, whatever, basically whatever you want, right? I mean, the freestyle movement was starting and you were right at the freaking pinnacle of it. So how was that mental shift, from a little kid trying to make it to I made it, and it happened pretty much in a couple days,
Yeah, it became from no pressure at all to all these feelings of wanting it to then accomplishing it, and then having all this pressure now on you because, like you said, I had pretty much all, I had a pretty good salary, and but then the pressure would always be on after that, especially with Martin Branders. He put too much pressure on the riders. And it kind of screwed our mind game, obviously, because he would always be breathing down our necks in events, and he wouldn't give us our space, And that's something that I wish didn't happen, because maybe we would have been more relaxed. But I became kind of just, I felt too much pressure afterwards, and I was more of a soul rider always, because I always felt that I was a bit different than anyone else, not a mechanical person, but more of a soul rider, and just like I do it because of the passion, honestly. And thank God I never forgot why I did it, because if not, probably I wouldn't be here, I went through tough moments after that, because I also, like 3 years later, I would do some podiums. I would do like third. I would keep up my level in podiums. No matter, I didn't win after like first, but I did get seconds and thirds in a lot of events like Austria, Fuerte, Lanzarote. I would always be in the top 5 or top 6. Top 6 was my biggest world overall in freestyle. But I would win events here and there. But yeah, man, it was too much pressure for me, bro. And then I kind of got like burnt from all that pressure. I didn't enjoy it, honestly, as much because of that. And the sponsors I had was were very serious, you know, and it felt like it was not almost like it was not in the same line as windsurfing passion, you know, sometimes, you know, different kind, like sponsors, you know, the people in charge, they would have the wrong vibe, and then it just didn't suit me. And so I just kind of like, I fell in love with this other chick, and then it kind of like went down everything. And I even had to do like construction work because I lost Neil Pryde after a few years. And also even my sister, bro, she won her first world title. And like the second year she was going to sign out Keepa. Like, I will never forget this. Like, Martin Brander and I'm sure Neil Pryde, they just said, hey, we can't sponsor you no more, when she won her world title. And that was just like a deep dive into the ditch for my sister. She like cried on the beach, I remember. And it wasn't fun, man. It was difficult. It wasn't as we felt it was going to be, in a way, because probably we were just in a company that didn't share the same, you know, ideas and flow as we wanted to. But eventually it all fits in. You know, it all comes together. It just takes time, bro. When you know, finally you start, like, so I started fading away from big companies because I understood how they worked. So I didn't really want to be part of big companies afterwards, because I signed with Hot Sail, which was a small company on Maui. And after my relationship and that, I lived in Lanzarote for a year with that lady back then. Not lady, she was older than me, but it was a hot Brazilian girl. She was definitely older than me. I would always go for the older ones because I was still young. But I was kind of a lover boy. I always fell in love with hot chicks, man. I always with hot chicks. You can ask anybody at like prize givings or whatever in Gran Canaria, I would always come up with a hot chick. Everyone was like, because I got the salsa moves, bro. I got the Latin moves. The heat is on. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's what I was about to ask, you know, like, so you were you sound like you were super stressed and serious. And, you know, if I know correctly, you know, other guys, like there was a bunch of you right after you, a bunch of, you know, 16, 17, even 15-year-olds coming and, you know, cash thrown at them and partying and whatever. Maybe if you did a bit more of that, then maybe you would have been a bit more relaxed, no, enjoying the process and that whole vibe. Yeah, it seemed like you were super like down to winning. Just I want to win, and if it doesn't happen, then you will get frustrated and stuff.
Yeah, bro. Because remember, we come from a background that at least teaches us to work hard for what we want, and we're very independent. Probably you, as me, and many people on the tour. And so, of course, we would have pressure because I never thought of even like bothering my parents for money or anything, because we were just not taught that way, which I think is correct, you know. So we were like other guys, maybe on a tour, they would always depend on their parents or their papa, mama boy, and you know, and they would always spoil them in a way and always be there for them, which is also nice. It's just different. So we didn't really, we were not like that, me and Colette. So we did have pressure because we would have to think of our future, and if it doesn't work out, what we would do, because we didn't go to university because we chose to windsurf. So, you know, it's hard to have time for both things, honestly. If you want to be really good, forget about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
life
sure. Ricardo even dropped out of high school, right? Or even I don't know what it was, school. You know, so
we pretty much we did homeschool with a private teacher. We pretty much dropped off because, but we did homeschool with a private teacher. Like I said, we kept our education and we learned French and Spanish at the same time. But we also thought, me and Colette, university is useless. What are we going to be part of the system and fall into the trap of spending a life, you know, working for these mass companies and just have no life after? You're trapped, man. You're trapped, and And then that's it. Life passes by like this while you're paying bills and trying to windsurf once a year on a vacation. We kind of saw all that. We saw all that when we were kids already, because we would see all these clients come to Margarita and we'd hear their stories, and that they work a lot to go windsurf once a year, and then it's cold, and like we didn't want to be part of that. We wanted to be. We just followed our souls, bro. And so yeah. So basically, the kids back then, after us, when we broke the ice, I would even say Colette as well, because she was also a newcomer and won her first world title, pretty much new and not being in the whole scene for such a long time. Like, we came in with a bang, while a lot of people like you, for example, work really hard and find a way the other way, You find a way by working really hard and never giving
You mean
up.
that I was last for like 10 years before doing something good? That's what you mean?
I remember seeing you on Zilt, unfortunately, always in Zilt when it's cold, and we'd be at the beach a lot. And I knew you had so much passion and you're crazy. I remember you always loving wave sail, for example. You're an example of the other way. You got talent, but you probably grew up in a place that you're not spoiled in the conditions like El Yaqui, like we did. So we have the talent, obviously, because we live on a place that is fucking mind-blowing good. That you can windsurf. If you had what we had, you would probably be in the same shoes as we. And you would probably start off with a bang as well. So you just did the other way, which, Europe, I know how it is. Like, here we're so spoiled. Like, every day it's windy. Right now it's windy. We don't have to go foiling always in the morning. Like, if I want to train on my 9.0 race gear for foil, I would have to go like 7, 8 in the morning to be okay, because if not, by 11, it's already 25 knots. Yesterday, it was like 28 knots. And even though it's that windy and I'm busy, I go out with 30 knots on my 9.0 no matter what, just obviously pointing and going downwind. But yeah, here we're spoiled, bro, in the Caribbean and Venezuela. The whole coast of Venezuela is like, it's a generator of wind. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Hey, so you think if you don't win that event, there is no Ricardo, no Cheo, no Goito, like you put Colette and yourself, you kind of put El Yaqui out there, a little bit like, oh, there's probably like a talent pool there that guy like Martin should look at and whatever. You feel like sort of responsible for that a little bit?
I don't know for responsibility, but I would say of motivation, yes, and inspiration. I would say those two words pretty much. Even though if I wouldn't have won it, I would still be a motivation by just being there and at least trying. So just can't, give up your dreams. You just gotta try. And I would have kept on trying. Probably I would have won an event eventually, but I started off with a win. So that really helped, obviously. And it did probably help other kids to like even boost their motivation. So like thinking like, hey, I got the same level of Diony, like Ricardo maybe, and I can also do it. But he also, his first event, he didn't win it either. Even so, it just depends. It's all, I don't know if it's luck. But when it comes together, it comes together. But what did, I think, harm a bit, like at least the part for professionals or for youngsters or like for you and for many like to come after us, was that the kids in Europe, they would have good talent, but everything is so close, everything much cheaper, because from here and from Bonaire, for example, we'd have to travel far. We would need some money to pay all those expenses. Sorry. So being in Europe is obviously cheaper. So the problem what happened was that the wrong move happened in Europe after us with the kids. They started accepting. When you said that they started getting cash and parties and this and that, yeah, maybe I should have gone. I should have relaxed more and do parties and stuff. But like I told you, I explained to you why I was under pressure. Because we didn't have no one to depend on, and it was more expensive for us to travel. And obviously, we didn't want to live in Europe because we're spoiled down here, the lifestyle. So basically, those new kids after us, they started accepting peanuts. basically for nothing. Just wanted to be pros because they wanted to be good like us and whatever. And like Kauli, you know, that generation. And they started accepting peanuts, bro. And that really harmed the whole thing. They harmed us because they didn't have a plan. They were not serious because, like you said, they were just partying and didn't give a flip. They just want to like kind of wannabes, be good. And then but a lot of those guys ended up not even being for so long in the windsurf industry. Like, a lot of guys came and then just left. But honestly, it really killed us. It harmed us until today by not keeping our seriousness and respect. Because honestly, our salaries when those kids started coming in went down the road, bro. And
you know what's funny? You know what's funny? I don't remember who it was, but he told me, like, one of the established Maui guys. He told me, like, when these Venezuelan kids came, you know, they accept peanuts. You know, so for them, it was already a step down to you. And then from you to the next kids, and it's just a generational thing, I guess, because, you know, like, you want it so bad, you know, like, you want it so bad that you're going to have a side. I mean, I had a side job, you know, first few years and whatever, you know, so it's like that, I guess.
What did you do as a side job to start off?
I was putting news on a windsurfing website. I was writing stuff and, you know, like researching and putting pictures and news and stuff.
I had to do something with windsurfing because if not, man, it would, yeah. That is sick. That is sick, bro.
Yeah. So anyway. It was like step after step. So basically, since, you know, we were educated with strong values, and we grew up with education in our house, like pretty disciplined, even though we were slacking, like we were lazy to make our beds once in a while. But our parents would always tell us, clean your room before you go windsurf, and if not, you can't go windsurf, or clean the shit of the dogs around the house and the trash. If not, you can't go windsurfing, bro. I remember when Antoine Albo first came here, bro, the first time, I was grounded because I did something bad. I would either come home late. I would go skateboarding with my friends, and had to be home at 10 o'clock. And I would come home like at 12, sneaking around the wall. But my stepdaughter was a total dickhead, man. He would lock the doors and like double lock it. So somehow our keys, we wouldn't have a key to enter the house. So he would always like ground us, and I got grounded for like 1 week. I couldn't leave the house. He was probably too strict on us, but I guess, you know, it all worked out. It helped at the end. But I remember Antoine came once, bro, and I couldn't even sail with him or spend time with him because I was grounded. That only week he was here, I was pissed off, bro. I was so pissed off. But bro, we were talking about how, we were educated with strong values and stuff. So basically, we knew what our value was when we started windsurfing, because I had people like Robert Territel, like giving me pointers of even amounts of money, how much our value was. Even though we were young, we were underrated, way underrated when we came in. And Neil Pryde JP wanted to really, like, obviously, the more money they save and the more juice they can suck out of us, the better. Obviously, that's how companies work. Unfortunately, you know, they're not very fair. But we did keep a high standard to get as much as we could and try to be as serious as we could, you know. So these new kids coming in basically had money and they didn't really care about salary. Some accepted equipment, just free equipment. So then, afterwards here, like, you know, the other kids that are fishermen from Cheo, and, you know, how can I put it this way? They did not know how to negotiate really with those companies. So it did after the Europeans and then them, and it kind of like went down, and then it affected us. It was difficult. It was difficult, man. It was very hard to survive, honestly. It was hard. Yeah. Yeah. And did you see like, so when you won the King of the Lake, you were by far the youngest guy there, yeah? And like there was all this established generation, like you mentioned, Josh Stone, Robbie Seeger, Antoine was there probably competing on a freaking 9 meter or whatever, you know? And did you feel like, okay, now my generation and now even the younger, did you see like that is going to come, the younger kids? Because you got kind of stuck a little bit in between in a way, no? Like you broke the ice, but then you didn't really get the cake for it. I don't feel like, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I did not get that title I always wanted to, but I did get other things that maybe that title, you know, it's you got to look at it different point of views. Like I've been here already doing a tour for 21 years, well, tour on and off, but you know, always there and in the scene, whatever. And just, you know, alive in the whole thing. But you know, I got other satisfactions and I learned other things that it was just probably not meant to me, you know, like winning a world title now in freestyle is impossible. Wave sailing, I wanted it as well, but then like what really turned me off was going to places that you couldn't even windsurf just because there was sponsor money there, you know, and that turned my reality off and motivation events. So I was like, you know, this is not my thing. I got to find another way on surviving, and which was image based and just going to locations, you know. And I did explain and convince my sponsor that, hey, if I go to Zilt or I go to these events that are cold and there's nothing to do, okay, there's good exposure there, a lot of talking, but hey, bro, trust me, man. Our job is to be on the water and show off, man. That's how I started here in El Yaqui. You know, that's how you grab people's attention. We would then be on the news like talking, man, or show people or whatever. But we're here to put the show on the water. That's actually what I wanted. So going to all these events that couldn't even windsurf and super cold, which was not my thing, no one's thing. It kind of, it changed my idea, and I looked for another way of doing it. There's always a way, bro. You just gotta use your mind and be around the right people, and it will all happen. So I wanted to wave ride. Obviously, being a freestyler and being here and watching all those videos when I was a kid, I wanted to wave ride. So that's what happened. Freestyle, we took it to the waves. We stepped up the game as well there with some moves on the waves and our different flair and this and that. And that's what you see right now. You see like Belzinho absolutely killing in the waves. Levi probably did a bit of freestyle, but in the gorge and this and that. But then Ricardo took it, you know, his style to the wave as well, and his maneuvers and explosive. And so yeah, man, I found another way of doing it, and I'm a multi-disciplined rider as well, which like wave riding I would never get bored of, but freestyling I did. That's why I started wave riding. And slalom sail, you're a wave rider as well, bro. So you know that you get burned out if you do the thing, you know, for a year or months and months and just slalom. You need something's calling you. Your inner voice is calling you to wave ride. So you need that. You need other disciplines to keep you alive, because it's just the way I feel. So I do all these disciplines, which probably also hurts your overall result in one discipline. So you got to choose in a way, you know what I mean? You got to choose either or. You want to be happy or you want to work and work and work. And yeah, eventually you'll be super happy when you get that world title, or maybe you won't be as happy. Maybe it won't be as you expected it, even though when you won the world title. So it all depends, man. But I enjoy doing all these disciplines, and it really keeps me motivated.
Totally. And I was actually about to ask you about that, but you think these multi-discipline guys are a little bit underrated? Because, you know, the real ones know how good you are in all of them. I don't know, Tati, Ross Williams, of course Bjorn before winning everything and whatever, but it seems like it went really specific, right? and not having an overall world title and whatever. And the brands are really focused, as you say, on results. And you somehow manage to stay in the scene with, as you say, more image based or more of a soul surfer type thing, and being in North America and whatever. So what's your take on this? Like, I don't know, would you want to see an overall world title, or that's the thing of the past, or
100%. We are underrated because there's been no overall world title back. I've been pushing the world title overall for such long time. I'm a person that I speak to everyone and I try to like explain them, with fact, why we need it, why we need overall, even though there's not many of us that do the overall really good. But we still need it. It's very healthy. And that's why Bjorn and Robbie Nash and Antoine Albo have so many titles and became so famous and so respected. And I think now more than ever should be an overall world title, 100%. And yeah, that's why that's killed opportunity for us in a way. And
but you're not scared. You're not scared that a guy would win that is 10 in 3 disciplines. I mean, 10th in 3 disciplines is fucking amazing. I can't even imagine being 10th in the waves, let alone freestyle or whatever, and like you yourself, you're a sick freestyler, but nowadays fucking pass a heat is hard, right? So how, like imagine a guy that is 15th in 3 disciplines wins the overall. I can understand the critics saying, it's not really worth that much, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look, all you have to do is just put the world title overall race in there. So for example, like Maui, okay, like it has to be a person that does all. And yeah, a lot of people, sorry, bro. You hear me? You see me?
Yeah, all good.
Sorry, my battery, I think it's just a notice my battery. Yeah, you're right as well. It's a bit complicated because a lot of people now, especially, are just focused on one thing and not so many overall because they haven't been pushed for overall. That's the reason why as well. But there's more like slalom sailors right now than like wave riders and freestylers, for example. There's very few that would fight a world title. So yeah, obviously the PWA or any organization would say, is it worth it? There's probably not sufficient sailors. And for putting on that extra, goal and organization and money at certain events is hard. But hey, look, there's some events that there's only one event and you become world title with one event. You have world title. So that's screwed up, So I think it would have been healthy. Maybe it's a bit too late right now to do overalls, especially with all the shit we're going through. But they should have activated that a long time ago. They should have brought it back to overall. Maybe I could have more. Maybe I could have a chance for a title. Maybe, who knows? Maybe not. Maybe Tati would have also a chance for overall as well. Maybe quite a bit of people would have maybe had the chance. And then they would train. Like I know Philip Costa, for example. I know he digs to do a bit of slalom once in a while. I know he kind of likes a little bit, and now with things, now there's more disciplines. There's now foiling. Now we got foil integrated in the slalom, so it became even more complicated. So now you got to know 2 things to do one thing, and it's interesting, man. Just gotta let it flow at the end. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and you just gotta let it flow.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But the most important thing, bro, is to be happy, man. I'm at a point in my life right now. I'm very happy, and I'm glad that whatever I've done, the decisions I've took, and the brands I decided to work with, because I do not want to work with any with certain brands, I don't fit in. I just don't even bother wasting my time, just for money or whatever to get a bit of salary. I think of the future, you know what I mean? So, like, for example, I just swapped from HD, which I'm super grateful, to the person like Thierry Penn and Bruno that have sustained HD for such a long time. And Thierry eventually got burned out, and he's elder now, and he's a sailor, and he wants to just, it's not easy. And being in charge of windsurfing nowadays is hard. But like I signed up with Tillo International, and that has a total new energy and flair into the whole windsurfing thing. The owner is actually a good friend of mine, Tillo. That's his nickname. That about 30 years ago, him and two friends, I'm not sure if he learned how to windsurf for this goal or he knew how to windsurf.
I know that story is sick story, yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, I think he got involved. Yeah, man. So he escaped from Cuba with two other good friends of him to Florida, to the Keys, obviously, since they're further south. And I'm not sure if they learned how to windsurf to do that or they already knew how to windsurf. I think they learned how to do that just to escape. But he escaped with our two friends, bro. And so Tillo, Alex, he arrived in my...
Alex, what's his last name? I forget his last name as well.
Alex Morales.
Alex Morales, exactly. Yeah, I met him in Puerto Rico. Cool, really cool guy. Big shout out.
He's probably underdog, and but the guy's got an energy, man, and I'm so happy to be working with him. So yeah, he escaped from Cuba to Florida on a windsurfing board, and his dream was to come out with his own brand, a windsurf brand. After 30 years, he finally was able to do it. Like 2 years ago, he started doing his first production boards, and always wanted me on the team, man. Always. He's been telling me for years, like, Diony, Tillo's gonna be the best brand, bro. And no one's gonna be able to compete against us. No one's gonna be able to keep up because the energy is too strong. He'd always tell me like that, man, that you're gonna be on Tillo International one day. And I always laugh, he's a good friend of mine. Every time I go to Florida, we sail together. And he would always tell it the same to Antoine. Antoine, you're gonna be on Tillo one day, man. It's funny, Who knows?
Yeah. So you're in a good place. You're in a happy place. And sorry to maybe bring you there, but you even mentioned it. You even mentioned it. Like, for me, like, watching the scene and not being in the scene yet. When you moved to Maui, you signed with Mistral, then with HD, Hot Sales, all that stuff. You did kind of disappear, for a little while. Like, were you trying to figure out what to do next, or you said you had to work construction a little bit, and so what was that period like? Competing in the waves, but there wasn't really a wave tour, and it was like, yeah, you kind of came back when the slalom thing happened, right? I felt like that was a little bit more of a Diony's back thing, So what was that period like?
The period was that it's just one word, brother. Love, man. When you fall in love, it's all a roller coaster experience. So you got to take it all and learn from that. So I fell deeply in love, and that's why I kind of disappeared for a while. And that's why I had to work construction, because my motivation, I had different priorities when you fall in love with your first girlfriend or whatever, and you're kind of blinded. Your priorities started kind of like setting different angles, and it's just part of life. It's just the way it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like that, man. I fell in love, and it was very hard. It was probably the wrong decision, but hey, it crafted me in what I am today. I learned so much during that relationship, and after that, I became stronger, and I changed quite a bit, my whole vision. And so if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't probably be here. I would be different. It helped me. It was all positive. I don't regret nothing. You know how it is. You can't regret. Everything's a learning process, and it was all good, even though I disappeared for a while, but it was just life, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I came back strong, though. I remember it. In Lanzarote, we were living for a year, and that's why I did, like, a friend, a Rasta friend called Karsten. He used to have a windsurf club here or work here, and he had Windsurf Paradise in Lanzarote. He's a crazy dude, man, Rasta man. And he lent me his equipment to compete in Fuerte one year because I always had the motivation and the experience and the talent in slalom. Maybe I was a little smaller back then, but I just wanted to try slalom again after the wild winds and all the events here in El Yaque. And I've tried Fuerte, and I think I even got into a final or semi-final. I was like, shit, I got pretty far. It was just a tryout. So that's when slalom actually came back, which also disappeared, which also harmed a bit the windsurf world. I think it was 10 years it disappeared or so, slalom. We couldn't, it's like it happened so quick. We were like, why did slalom ever disappear, man? It was just crazy. So when it came back, I was on it. And that's when you came back and you started slalom, and that's when we probably met first, like, becoming friends and this and that. And Fuerte, it's like the most emblematic destination for slalom.
Best.
And that's where we make our names in a way, like you, we got balls and we're crazy. Just go for it through those chops, man. Those 2-meter swells like Arnaud does. Accidentally he does push loops in Fuerte with his slalom gear.
Totally. And for a while you're there, you did the whole tour, you were focused, training and this and that. What do you think is the part of the game that maybe you missed or that, to really like do, I don't know, top 3 or whatever, whatever the goal might be?
I think the puzzle I was missing was like lower salary. I was always underpaid. I got to accept that. When I started, it was okay. But then, like I told you, it went down. All these things happened with other riders. And it was just very difficult because I wanted to do freestyle. I wanted to do waves. I wanted to do slalom. So I would have to pick and choose. And I remember one year when I started getting sponsored by Nestle, I did a whole tour. But I think that year I went to places like Korea. There was like no Wayne, and then like Zilt. It was Zilt. Actually, that year I think I did top 10. I did top 10 in slalom. That was my best results. I did a lot of finals, and so it was just hard. What was missing was financial support constantly to be able to get to all the events and gain more experience and train hard and just be on the water because. Trust me, I don't lack energy and being on the water and trying to be the best, but just doing like 3 disciplines and it becomes more expensive and more time. It's definitely more burnout for our bodies if you do so much as well. And I had to focus on one thing, and that was my thing. I wasn't prepared mentally to just focus on slalom. Something was always calling me in the waves. I couldn't leave the waves, man, because that's what kept my heart ticking, in a way. So it's a bit different, complicated, but I'm not sure if you understand the reason why, No,
I can totally understand the reason because it calls you, like you say, the waves, they call you. I was just in Lanzarote doing a IQ foil thing, and there was a forecast in Fuerte. I just jump on the ferry and go wave sailing, because
I saw that, bro.
And so much excitement and whatever, you get out of a good day in the waves. And so I can totally get that. But then, as you mentioned before, you have to sometimes just accept that you have to give up something to have another thing, and almost you get stuck in between if you don't choose. So yeah,
you gotta have a good game plan. 100%. You gotta be very disciplined in respecting it and to accomplish it.
Yeah, so, you almost gotta be a businessman, and go by the book rather than the emotion that that you feel, for sure. So
that's what messed me up. I was a bit disorganized in that way. I was, since I was, I wasn't like mediocre in waves and mediocre in slalom. Like I I'm good at both. I would say I'm really good at both. And so it was very hard to choose. So you would always choose the funnest thing. Always. At the end, bro, it's you know, you just got to choose, bro, at the end. Maybe I could accomplish my dreams, you know, getting better results. But at the end, it's only results, bro. So
that's what I'm about to ask you. Is that really your dream? Like,
what does it mean? What does it really mean? I know we can be the best. You could probably be the best in a regatta, but it's. I mean, who do you want to prove it to? You know, to your sponsors, yes, because you depend for them to sustain you with a salary. Okay, they really need that, but right now, these days are not like the older days that honestly, people right now, they don't give a fuck about results. Right now, we're in a different world that most people, I asked some people, like, you know, who's winning the world title, just to test them that are passionate windsurf. They don't, of course, there's a lot of people that are groupies that really are into it. But right now, I feel that the results and the whole, like it's so small. The whole world is like, it's different than before, bro. It's even
what I feel is like you need results to get credibility. And once you have that, like you have results from the past, so you're credible. And then you can actually spread what you're talking about, the stoke, the promotion and all that. But you need the first bit to get credibility, because if you're, let's say you're a YouTuber and you didn't prove shit, nobody's going to believe you, or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a little bit like that, I feel like. So there's a little bit of both.
I agree with you on that, my check. 100%. You're totally right. And you gotta be able to accomplish something in the sport, but then continue doing other stuff. But you need to accomplish it to be there in the spot. I agree with you. But I just feel like right now, I mean, just to survive, yes, people depend on the salary, and you gotta, if you didn't accomplish that in the past, well, you gotta still be active. So, but I believe there's other ways as well of doing it, you know. There's other fun ways on doing it, and it just depends how you do it. But I just feel like nowadays people just want to have fun, bro, and have a good time and smile and laugh. And so, like, I went a couple months ago, I went to this event, OBX in North Carolina, something that I feel that Europe has too much attention, and it's such a small continent in a way. It's pretty small. But then US used to be so huge in windsurfing, and there's still a lot of occult windsurfers, passionate windsurfers that don't even have Instagram or nothing. And I feel like the US has been abandoned. In US in general, even Hawaii. Obviously, Hawaii is always there because of the waves. And so I went to this event in North Carolina, bro. There's like almost 300 windsurfers. Almost 300 windsurfers that are so stoked that, man, it was just the energy that just what I needed, man. Europe is awesome, but the energy in the US is just different. You know what I mean? People are more old school in the US, and people in Europe are more like modern and more like, you know, they're really into it as well. I just wanted to change the vibe, and the US was exactly what I wanted, man. I met people back there that knew me and my sister since, hey, I remember you when you were 8 years old, and this and that, and people that were actually competing there still windsurf that you wouldn't even know of. And but windsurfing in the US is so important. I really think that we got to focus like yourself, you know, as the active and professional windsurfer, and a great image that you have, and other sailors and the PWA organizations got to do more events in certain areas, in the US. I really find it's important, bro.
I agree 100%. And I wanted to ask you that too, because with your new sponsor, Tillo, and that's obviously, you know, US based brand and whatever, is that your little new mission to kind of revive the American scene, the North American scene, and are we going to see you more there? Maybe, you know, organizing stuff, clinics, whatever. Is that your new chapter, let's say, rather than, like you say, competing in cold Europe?
No, I do plan like to go to the Defi Win in May. My sponsors, Exosales, have been amazing with me. They also share a similar vibe to Tillo, like very passionate, you know, and they just want to show and share the stoked on my social media. And they're a really good team. For French people, man, it's super awesome to be working with Exosales, man. They don't seem like Frenchies. So
yeah. Patrice was there at the Defi, and he actually used to sponsor me when I was like 14 and whatever. And I'm like, hey, Patrice, should have kept sponsoring me, huh?
Yeah, I agree. Patrice definitely has the racing mindset and goals of, you know, having like probably a world title. Definitely he wants, but
man, we keep talking like friends. We mean Patrice Belbioc, of course. We keep talking. I talk to you as if we were, you know, having a drink or whatever, you know. Yeah.
No, Patrice is a machine, man. I respect him so much. He's like huge as Bjorn. I think they're the only two avatars in windsurfing that big, man. Those two guys, man, and maybe Anders Greendale, but they're bigger. But yeah. I guess also Patrice realized that he needed like someone image based, and somehow I suited, and finally I started working with them, and they have working with Damien as well. Damien is he used to work with other brands, very very good brands, and he has experience in development and a good vibe as well, a good vibe, and Julian also. But yeah, bro. Like when I was in Miami right now and in the States, it was really good. Like I think it's very healthy to have like a half European brand and half US brand, because it honestly helps one another. So like if I go to Europe, Tillo's brand new, and you know, if I go to Defi Win, our boards are getting made right now in the factory. And they're really sick. The new boards, like I spent a month in Miami developing with Tillo, shaping all the new wave boards, slalom boards. We're gonna have it all. So people get ready, man. It's gonna be really good boards. And Tillo has a lot of experience in the racing program, and I developed the wave board 100% with my experience. So we're very excited to show everyone soon. And going to Maui, hopefully. My plan is to go to Miami, do some photos, get the boards pretty soon in April, and then go to Maui, do some photos, and test the wave boards out in real waves. And then probably go to the Defi Win in May for Exosales and just to show up.
Great. So we're going to see you around a lot on your social media and in real life and stuff. Before I let you go.
Huh?
Before I let you go, we ask a couple questions, same questions to everybody, kind of quick fire questions.
Yes.
So you're ready for that?
Go ahead, man. I'm ready for anything, brother.
Okay. So first question. How many times a day do you pee your wetsuit when it's cold?
Okay. Well, I can tell you one thing. You probably pee way more than me in wetsuits, because I hate wetsuits and I never wear wetsuits. So how many times a day? Maybe you can ask me how many times every 4 years. Right? Hey, but honestly, bro, every time I wear a wetsuit, I pee in a wetsuit 100%, because I drink a lot of water and you just gotta let it out. It's terrible to hold your urine.
What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure. Jesus, man. I don't know, bro. What's yours?
Really bad rap music? Is that your guilty pleasure?
No. Fuck. It's hard. Guilty pleasure, man. I don't know, bro. Like winging, maybe. It's close to kite. But my friends make fun of me. It's like, I told them I'm never gonna wing, because it's got kite materials. Even though it's really close to windsurf, it's more of like a windsurfer thing but it's kite material. So they fuck with me always, my friends. It's my guilty pleasure.
That's a good one.
It's fun.
That's a good one. Your top 5 windsurfers of all time.
Top 5 windsurfers of all time. My check. So for sure, Josh Stone, Brian Talma, Robert Territeo, Francisco Goya, Jason Polakov.
Pretty solid 5 for sure.
Yeah, bro. Like, that's a mix of explosive on the water and their energy on the land. You know, like their energy, their vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Most underrated windsurfer of all time.
Now or in total?
All time.
I would say, man, Leon Belanger, bro. Yeah, he became like top 5 in PWA waves. Similar style, Josh Angulo. I'm sure you've heard of me. Like maybe you remember him in Lanzarote.
Yeah. I remember him coming to do the racing. Yeah. Dominican DR1, Dominican Republic 1.
Yeah, I would say he's underrated for sure because he had so much talent. He does backloops like quadruple mast high. And the sickest style, bro. Yeah. I would say him, man. He had American Airlines sponsorship, North Sails, C-Trend. He had all these sponsors, all these good sponsors. Bro, do you know how they fired Leon, bro, when he had North Sails? I think they fired him because he did this video, Northbound. Look it up if you haven't checked it out. It's Ian Boyd, Sean Ordonez, him. I think that's it. On a road trip through North America. Bro, just going crazy wild in a camper bus and just full on rock and roll, crazy, not giving a fuck about nothing. And he had American Airlines. I think they fired him when they saw that video, bro. I think he sent it with a smile to American Airlines that were sponsoring him, and they fired him right after because it's just too hardcore.
I gotta watch that. I love that kind of stuff.
And then I think North Sails, back then it was a fax. They sent him a fax saying that he is no longer sponsored. He was getting sick contract, but yeah, man. They didn't go well for him. They didn't treat him good, man, with respect. Definitely not. Just bad luck, bro. But it's all good. Any other questions?
Yes. Foil freestyle, yes or no?
Sorry? For freestyle?
Foil freestyle on a foil. You know what these guys are doing?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah, bro. Why not? It's just it's a progression. Why not? For sure. For light winds, why not? It's cool. It's you do stuff. You do the impossible. You make the impossible possible in light winds.
Yeah. Obstacles in slalom, yes or no?
Obstacles like in Super X?
Like we should put them in slalom. You think we should put them in slalom?
Man, why not? Just a couple, just very rare events, but places like Fuerteventura, why not? That you have the wind to jump it, no? That you have enough wind to jump it, like windy. Yeah, man, it'll be spectacular for everyone to laugh.
Yeah. Beach starts, yes or no?
Beach starts like for racing starts?
For racing,
or
yeah, for racing, yeah.
I would do it as exhibition and maybe a result as well. But yeah, see how it goes. I won't close the door for a tryout.
Yeah. One spot you'd have to sail every day for the rest of your life.
Los Roques. And Maui.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Worst excess baggage bill or worst check-in story.
Man.
A lot.
2 times. One with Aer Lingus ship airlines from Brazil to Ireland or Ireland to Brazil. It's like over $1,500 or so. And it was stressful. But the worst story happened right now, bro. My last trip. Can you believe that? After 21 years, a shitty ass charter airlines to Venezuela. They made me. They didn't want to check in my bags because there were too many. So they made me lose my flight. And then they said, when the flight was half an hour to leave, they said, "Oh, okay, we can take it, but they all have to come under 70 pounds." So it was impossible half an hour before. So they made me use the left flight, and 2 days later I flew again, and then they charged me like $900, and then they broke a bunch of my foil board and broke all my bags, and then they ignored. I sent them a bill of $1,400 of repair and replacement for all the bags. They never replied. That's a pretty bad experience, yeah. But oh well, we all have those experiences, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Last but not least, if you listen to one of those, if you watch one of those, who would you like to hear on this show?
Who I would like to hear? Fuck, man. I wouldn't mind listening to Roberto Tiarita, man, if we haven't had him on yet.
No, we hadn't. We can't locate him, man. Nobody has his number. The email I sent never replied.
So you
can't locate him, bruh.
Yeah, man. He's a tough nut, bro. He's in the middle of an island, in the middle of nowhere, married to some princess. And he doesn't give a flip about anybody, bro. I can say something. He's enjoying, he's disconnected, and he's in the water, man, foiling and doing what he loves. I can tell you that. He knows the secret.
For sure. For sure. Diony, thanks so much, man. Great chat. Inspiring.
Brother.
Gave me energy, bruh. So appreciate it.
I brought these up for you to check them out because I still have it. But before we end the call,
sick.
Yeah, man, that's where it all happened, brother.
Red Bull King of the Lake 2000 trophy.
Yeah.
And the Beach Culture World Tour.
Oh, yeah, Brendan Tama, man. Hell yeah. And you can never miss out the basketball, bro. I was going to put on my Jordan. I got an original Jordan shirt because that's all I like. If I buy a basketball t-shirt, the shirt is a Jordan one, man. You're not a Jordan fan, are you?
I am. Of course I am, man. My sale number is 23. For sure I am.
It's true. I thought you were more of a Larry Bird person.
I was born in 91. I can't remember Larry Bird. Barely remember Jordan, man.
I thought he was your style, man, with the mustache and shit. No.
Yeah, I'm white. So what? You know?
Awesome, brother. Awesome, bro. Hey, Mike, I appreciate this interview, man. Thanks so much for covering it.
No, thank you. It was great, man. It was great stories. Thanks a lot, bro.
All right, man. All the best. Good night, homie. All right, Holmes.
Cheers.
There we go. Really cool podcast from Diony there. Loads of stories, and he has come through the whole lot with that freestyle, now into the slalom and everything else. So really good. If you like that podcast, give us a thumbs up, let us know in the comments below. We are working hard on the podcast at the moment. Well, Matt Check is. I'm trying to gather some more people, so any ideas, chuck them in. A lot of the ideas you've already suggested, we are on it. It's just not so easy to get them, but we will get there. We've got a couple of big names on the list who we're trying to get right now. If you do like it and you want to support the podcast, it's not big views on the podcast, but it is a lot of effort to do them. So if you do like the podcast, think about, is that worth chucking in some beer money? If you do, you're going to have a chance of winning sales and all that sort of stuff. Stay tuned. Send It Sunday. On Sunday, we'll be giving away another sale. Until then, catch you for the next one.